So here are the ingredients which you'll combine to make your dosa. These ingredients will have to be soaked, washed and soaked for about 8 hours at least, for about 8 hours. And once they're soaked and you see they're plumped up and they're well soaked, then they'll be ready for blending. Then you blend it into a batter. So the ingredients are 2 cups of rice, half a cup of Urad dahl, and 2 tablespoons of chhana dahl, and 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. And this helps with the fermentation because you have to set it and let it ferment for another 12 hours. The entire process takes 16 to 24 hours. So, and it's a wonderful thin, nice flatbread that you will get in the end. So let's go to the next step. Yes, guys, this is my second step here in making a South Indian dosa, which is something like a thin pancake. I had to soak some of the ingredients first, soak them overnight. The whole process takes about 16 hours. It was soaking for 8 hours. I did it overnight, but you have to soak the rice that I have in the blender here. We're gonna blend it all up. The Urad dahl, or it's like a split peas. The fenugreek seed. I have fenugreek seed in there, and I also have the chhana dahl. So I have chhana dahl, rice, urad dahl, and fenugreek seeds. We had that. I had that soaking overnight, and now I'm going to blend it. And after the blending, it's going to sit for another 8 hours and ferment. And once it gets that fermentation, then we'll able to break it down and use the batter to make the dosas. Dosas are gluten-free. It's a vegan thing. It's vegetarian. You can eat it with several other dals or stews, or any vegan stews like eggplants and any other. I like eating it with either eggplant or the bitter melon. We call it karila. So, or you can use it as a with something sweet also. It's a very versatile flatbread, so to speak. So it's the South Indian dosa. So right now I'm going to blend this up, and then we'll go to the next step. So into the mix, I'm adding 1 cup of water, preferably a filtered water that came out of a filter, or drinking a bottled water, so to speak. And we're going to cover this down and blend it for 30 seconds first, and then we'll pulse it for another 10 seconds. So after 30 seconds, it's still a little grainy. It's not to the consistency that I want, because I don't want lots of grains in it, but we still have a lot of, quite a few grains in there. But it's smooth. It's getting nice and smooth. So I'll continue pulsing for 10-second intervals. I'll do it for 10 seconds, as many times as I need to get to the consistency that I want. So we'll go back and cover it up, and we'll just do our 10-second pulses. So now I think I have the consistency that I need. It should be thick, but it should be pourable. You should be able to pour it out. So, and it's pouring. So I'll just pour this out into my container here, and this is where I leave it to ferment for another 8 hours. So here we are. This is the batter for my dosas, my South Indian dosas, and I finished blending it. After I blended it with a cup of water for about 30 seconds, and I checked the consistency. It was kind of thick, so I added a half a cup of water, but I added it at intervals whilst I did my pulses, my 10-second pulses. So I pulsed it like 3 times for 10 seconds. So that's another 30 seconds. And it came out to the consistency that I wanted. It's nice and smooth, and it's pourable. So now we're gonna leave this here for another 8 hours so that it ferments. You'll know that it's fermented when it gets some body. It rises a little, and you'll see some cracks on the top. You know that the fermentation is happening. And then before you make your dosas, you're going to get that air out. You're going to deflate it and give it a stir, and we'll get to that step once we get there. So this is not going to be ready until tomorrow. Okay, so I'll be back when it's fermented to show you that process. So here is my dosa. After the fermentation, it has fermented for 24 hours, and it has tripled in size, and it's perfectly fermented. So the next step would be to add some salt in it and give it a stir, and get the batter going. And we'll need to add a little bit of water to get it going. So we'll move to the next step. So guys, this is the fermented dosa batter. This is the batter. At this point, we're just getting the air out, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt in there. Give this a nice mix. The fragrance of the fermented batter is so wonderful. I just love it. As you see, the batter is kind of thick right now. So what we'll do, this is the fermented batter. We'll just put some out. We'll just take some out, and with a little bit of water, a few tablespoons of water, we'll dilute. We'll just dilute it a little. I just added a couple tablespoons of water. I'm going to give this a mix. It should be runny, but not too thick. It shouldn't take very long to come off your spoon. That's pretty good. I just added 2 teaspoons more. And I think this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. I have our pan heating up. I have this, I don't have a tava, but I have this flat, it's looking like a tava, but we'll just check that out and see how it works. So we let our pan heat up, and this may be the go-to pan for my for my uh, for my dosas. So let's see how that works. Let's do a little test to see if our pan is hot enough. Once you get the dancing bubbles of water, then you can sprinkle that water on there, and you get those dancing bubbles. Yeah, you know your pan is hot enough. So now we'll go ahead and we'll take a scoop of the batter. And we let it cook. Once it starts to dry out, we'll base it with some butter. Just put some butter on there. Depending on how soft or how crispy you want it, you can, if you want a crispy thin dosa, you'll scrape off the excess batter. This takes a few seconds, and once it starts to get brown edges, some brown edges, we'll just put that butter. Well, as you see here, I had to change my cooking method. My little tower that I had was too thin and too close to the flame, so I had to switch that. I switched to my roti griddle. This is my roti griddle, and you'll see how this works out. So once you see some brown edges showing, you want to just brush your butter on there. Just use a brush and just brush the butter on. And into my mixture, I added a little garlic powder in some of them, and a little bit of batter. I wanted to see how that will come out, along with some pepper flakes, and then I blended it in to see what flavor I'll get. It's all about experimenting. Like the masala dosa, you got masala dosa, you got various flavors of dosas. So you know, you can just create your own flavor. So these will be ready in a couple of minutes, and I'll be back to roll them up. Just take your time and roll it up. I just leave it on there just to crisp up a little. And this is a masterpiece. This is fantastic. So good. Beautiful. 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 Also, you can put a filling in here. You can put a filling in there. A filling of maybe some salmon or sardines or whatever you want to fill it with. And then you roll it up and you have a snack right there. And these could be used for breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch. Give it a nice little roll there. You see, once the heat is perfect, it comes off beautifully. You can even move it around if some parts aren't cooking fast enough. And once you feel it's nice and cooked, you just start your roll. There you go. And as I said, I just leave it on here for a little bit just so it can crisp up a little. And you're good. I just did an experiment here. So what I did was I flipped the dosa over and cooked the other side. I wanted to try to see if that's possible. So I flipped it over, you know, once it's cooked on one side. So now we have crispy on both sides, and you just roll it up. And there we go. Awesome. You have to try these things so you wouldn't know, you know. It is flippable. You can flip it. Like how you flip a roti, you can flip this and get both sides done. Crisp. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope you'll try this. It's a long process, but you'll enjoy it when it's done. Thank you for watching, guys. The South Indian Dosa. It's a nice long process. It's made with rice, Urad dahl, Fenugreek seeds, and I'll list all those ingredients in the description box and the instructions and everything, so you can try it. Takes a couple of days, but you'll love the end result. So guys, the South Indian Dosa, which is one of the most popular street foods in South India. And this is actually my take on it. I have done a little bit of tweaking to the batter because I added, after the fermentation, I added a teaspoon of salt, some red pepper flakes to give it some heat, and some garlic and onion powder. And I mixed that all up and got it to a nice consistency, added a little bit of water, which you do have to do, and to get it to the good consistency before you cook it. So I leave those instructions and I'll leave all the tweaks that I did to the batter, and I'll let you know in the notes what I've done. And this chutney here, this is a tangy tomato chutney, which is cooked with Guinness. Yeah, Guinness, the stout Guinness, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'll leave that recipe in the description box also. So here we go. Let's take another bite. Awesome. It's a wrap. This is fantastic. So, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next clip.